Hello there, Patricia here. Today we're going to talk about the importance of challenging yourself and pushing yourself forward, especially when it comes to building new and fresh relationships for for your career and for your personal life. This really comes from a workshop that I taught a couple of days ago, and just some observations from it. I'm going to do a deeper dive when I finish my assessment from the workshop, as well as to do a full recording and make it accessible. So keep an eye out for that. But before we get there, please make sure to hit the thumbs up, the like button, and or subscribe to share and make sure that this content gets pushed out. So here's the thing, if you follow my content at all, I talk a lot about relationship building and networking and what that means for you from a professional standpoint and a personal one, right? Those relationships really do matter. And the time that you put into them is very important. But before you can get to all of that, sometimes it's just the block of even wanting to go somewhere, do something different, to put yourself out there. And I recognize that. There are all kinds of reasons and excuses. I'm being generous here. Most time it leans more to the excuses side than the reasons, but there are lots of reasons and excuses for it. And all I really want to say is that whatever the reason or the excuse is, it's really important to be honest with yourself about what your true goals, what your true end result that it is that you want, and recognize that sometimes in order to get there, you got to do some stuff that you don't normally like to do, or that's not enjoyable, or that's uncomfortable in order for you to get there. My favorite example of stuff like this, or the analogy I like to use, is I always knew that I wanted to go to law school, right? Well, before you can get to law school, you have to finish undergrad. And in order to and get a 4-year degree before you can even apply, for in most cases, to go and do the extended 3 years at law school. So there are those hoops. Well, even before that, you have to, you've got your high school diploma, GED, whatever, you get to college, and there are going to be classes that you really don't like. Like for me, those science labs, oh my God, torture, right? Could not stand them. The math classes, not my fave. I'm the writing girl. Give me the English classes, give me the history things, all of that. But if I wanted to get that degree for college so that I could then apply to get to law school, which was my true end goal, I had to make it through all those biology labs and all those math classes. And it's the same thing here. And I hate to use that analogy, but it's true. If you want to advance in your career, in your relationships for the long term, there are probably going to be some things that you don't really like doing that you're going to have to do. For me, when it comes to networking and building relationships, I am very vocal about the fact that I detest happy hours. They have never been my thing. I've never really been a huge fan. And yet I've gone to them. I'm very strategic about them. I'm very deliberate about them, especially at this point. When I was younger, I would go to them all the time, but rarely was I, enjoying myself. But I would get to that point where, because if I could engage in a good conversation with someone, then I'd be good. I'm swell, right? But going to just to go drink yourself blind and all that, like, that's not my thing. That has never been my thing. So that was the negative that I always associated with it. I had to do a reset, however, and identify what were the good things that could come out of this that could get me to my next goal. And that would be making myself go be social, and some of those things that seemed a little frivolous for me, and at the same time opening myself up to meet new people in a different way, a different space. Okay. And so that may be the same for you or for other folks. It could be, if you don't like going, I know people who have problems with large events. I get it. They can be challenging. If you're going to a conference for work, however, versus, a huge social gala, like those are two different things. Some of the same principles can be applied, but you can approach them differently, right? The conference, you can focus on what are you going to learn? Where are some of the people, who are some of the people that are going to be there that you might not otherwise get an opportunity to meet up with, right? There are all of these things. And whatever the situation, know that there can definitely be an out and a way to meet your goal while, pushing your way through that thing. And that's what I want to encourage. And I say that again because this workshop was offered to young professionals who are members of the organization. You could be a non-member and still come. You have to pay a small fee. And I'm always surprised by it because you're not paying what you would pay me one on one to get some of the knowledge and some of the insights that'll help you professionally. And I'm always surprised by how few people take advantage of those opportunities. And granted, it was not the easiest to get through all the things, right? You got to go to traffic, you got to find parking, it's during the week after work. Some people are working from home, others are working from the office. Sure, again, reasons and excuses. There are lots of them. And what's your ultimate goal? And for those who actually made it through all the reasons and excuses and showed up, and when I asked them, why are you here? Like, why are you here? And it ranged from wanting to build their confidence, wanting to prepare to make a transition, wanting to learn how to uh, build and maintain their relationships over a longer period of time, all of those things. And that drove them to say, I'm going to make it past all of the reasons and excuses that I have not to attend to actually show up for me. Because guess what? And by me, I mean themselves, to show up for themselves and to recognize there was value in making that dedicated effort to show up for themselves. And so that's one of those things I really want to always press, because a lot of times you say, oh, I got to do this for work, or I got to go do this for this thing, or whatever. There's some other reason. But what's the reason that you need to do it for yourself? Because even if there's some, let's say there's a conference that you really don't want to go to, but you need to, or, because, the job is making you. But if you also know that you need to up level your skills or to meet some more people because eventually you're looking to transition from that position, guess what? That's for you. That is for you. And you owe it to yourself to give yourself the time and the effort that it's going to take to meet that long range goal. And I keep saying that longer range goal because a lot of times that's the thing. Most people don't view things in that way. They're very much focused on the myopic of what needs to happen right now for today. And when it comes to building relationships and even, dare I say, networking, which definitely has a negative connotation all the time, it is really not about what gets done today. It's about what you're building for tomorrow. Because even with a happy hour, you got to show up. But if you don't follow up with any of those people there, then what did you do it for? Right? There's still effort that needs to be shown. There's something else that needs to happen in order for you to get the benefit that you're looking for. And so that's the thing that I always want to make sure to remind folks, which is there's a benefit in it for you. You need to remember that. You need to actually remind yourself of that. Because too often we just get in our heads and we let all the negative stuff weigh us down, detract us, distract us, when the bottom line is, yeah, but I really need to do this if I want to accomplish X, if I want to go to Y, if I want to be Z. I didn't even plan that. Did you see that? XYZ, right? Where are you on that? What are the things that you need to do that you want it to do, but you're hesitant because you're letting reasons and excuses block your growth? Because that's bottom line what's happening. You're letting those things block your growth. And I'm going to challenge you not to allow that to happen. Take the time, make the effort, schedule it, pay for the session. And you would be surprised how many people will pay for a session and still skip it. Shame on you. Like, so now you're willing to just throw money down the drain. Really? Are we doing that? Is that what we're doing? I don't want you to do that. So it's about the commitment to yourself. Things come up, sure. But when you allow something like, oh, I can't get because of this or that, you know, there are always going to be 1,000 reasons not, or excuses not to do something. But you only need one really good, valid reason, strong ones to motivate you. And that's whatever that thing is that's driving you to the next level. And when it comes to relationship building, the bottom line is you got to make the effort. If you do not make the effort, you are not going to grow towards the thing that you want. I mean, it's just the way it is. I have watched people come to me, pay for good coaching that costs money, only to go sit on it and not make the effort. I've done my part. You have to do yours and keeping the commitment to yourself. And that's where people come up with the challenges so much, right? It's keeping that commitment to yourself. Well, what are some of the things that keep you from keeping that commitment? Maybe there's shame around something that you've done. Maybe there's a lack of confidence about, yeah, I said that, but I'm not really going to be able to. Or if there's fear of some sort. But you still have to face those things, acknowledge them, and then say, okay, I know that there's this fear, there's this shame, there's this guilt because I didn't do something before, or I did too much and it seemed to come back on my face, or you're feeling burned by a situation. And if you still want to meet the goals and dreams, you still have to move past that. So maybe what are some of the ways you move past it? Because this is not a like just get tough and suck it up. That's not what I mean by it at all. I am much more of a get a pen and a piece of paper and start writing it out. Journaling is an excellent, excellent process for identifying things that you really hadn't identified before. It's very valuable. You can also go talk to a trusted advisor or a close friend or a close colleague who will listen to you um, without judgment and yet still provide you, someone that you will take constructive criticism from as well. You got to be able to take that, because this is about being real about where you stand in the situation that's keeping you from moving forward, that's keeping you from honoring a commitment to yourself, right? But all of this requires what? Work. It requires effort. And this is why someone made the comment at the workshop, something to the effect of, oh my God, I've never had anyone talk to me about networking and relationship building in this way. And I'm like, yeah, because it's all, the stuff that's out there on Google or the career service office is really, one dimensional. And I don't do one dimensional. You can go Google that. I'm going to talk about, let's put some depth around it. Let's personalize what this means and looks like for you so that you can really be excited and ready for the next step, for the next thing. Okay? So those are some thoughts. I would love to hear back from you about, where that, what are the things you've been avoiding when it comes to relationship building for whatever reason, or the excuses. I'd love to hear the excuses. I'd love to hear, because I'm sure there's some good ones out there. So I would love, wherever you're hearing this, I want you to, put in the comments, put in the DMs. What are some of the excuses? What are your best excuses or reasons for not engaging in high quality networking, for, you know, being iffy even on the questionable network, whatever it might be? I want to hear from you what those things are, because, there's always something fresh that comes up that I haven't heard before, and I'm looking for that. So humor me. Drop some comments, uh, uh, drop some, some responses in the comments wherever you're hearing this, and be sure to go to YouTube, stay on YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the thumbs up so we can push this out, because we are up and raring to go on this next level with resetting this channel, and I'm super excited about it. All right, take care, and we will talk again tomorrow. Bye.